This love story you won't believe begins with two people who seemed very different from each other. She was a quiet artist, someone who loved to spend her time with colors, brushes, and ideas that came from her heart. Her world was calm and thoughtful. She enjoyed the peace of painting alone and getting lost in her imagination. On the other hand, he was a lively businessman who was always busy with meetings, phone calls, and planning his next big step in his career. His life was full of energy, fast decisions, and a focus on success. From the outside, it looked like they lived in completely different worlds. But sometimes, love finds a way to bring two very different people together. One normal day, their paths crossed in the most unexpected way. It was in a small coffee shop, quiet and cozy, where she was sitting near the window, painting on a small canvas. He walked in, needing a break from a long day at work, and as he waited for his coffee, his eyes landed on her. There was something about her focus and the way she gently moved her brush that caught his attention. It surprised him, because he had never really cared for art before, but something about that moment made him pause. He walked over and said hello, curious about what she was painting. She looked up and smiled shyly, showing him her work. That small moment started a conversation that neither of them expected. As they talked, he learned about her dreams of one day opening her own art gallery, while she listened with interest as he spoke about his business world. Even though they had such different lives, they found something in each other that made them want to keep talking. They began meeting more often, sometimes at the same coffee shop, other times for walks in the park or visits to little local galleries. One day, she invited him to an art exhibition. He agreed, not really knowing what to expect, but when he saw the paintings, heard the stories behind them, and watched her eyes light up as she explained the meaning behind each piece, something changed in him. He began to see the world differently. He started noticing the small things, the way sunlight hit the buildings, the beauty of colors, the emotion in people's faces. She opened a door in his heart that he didn't know was there. Their connection grew deeper. He encouraged her to show more of her work and helped her build the confidence to think about opening her own gallery. In return, she helped him slow down and find joy in life beyond his job. They balanced each other. Where he brought energy and planning, she brought calm and creativity. They inspired each other every day. But like every real love story, their journey was not without challenges. Some of their friends and even family members did not understand their relationship. They said they were too different, that their worlds did not match. But the two of them knew that what they had was special. They stood by each other, learning that true love is not about being the same. It is about growing together and accepting each other for who they truly are. Their love was tested again when she received an invitation to show her art at a famous gallery. It was a big chance, but instead of being excited, she was filled with fear. She was afraid her art wouldn't be good enough, that maybe people wouldn't understand it. He saw her struggling and knew he had to help her believe in herself. He reminded her of all the hours she spent painting, all the emotion she put into her work. He even planned a practice show at home with friends and family so she could get comfortable with the idea of sharing her art. When the day of the exhibition came, he stood by her side. As people admired her paintings, she began to smile again. Seeing others appreciate her work filled her with pride. But more than anything, it was his support that meant the most. In that moment, she realized how much he believed in her, even when she doubted herself. They learned that love is not only about happy times, it is also about standing together in moments of fear and doubt, helping each other grow, lifting each other up when one feels weak. This moment showed them how strong they were as a team. Later, they faced another test. One evening, after a long day, he made a comment that hurt her feelings. It seemed small, but it touched a part of her heart that was still healing. She felt he didn't value her efforts. He was shocked because he never meant to hurt her. But instead of arguing, he chose to understand her pain. He apologized, and they sat down to talk honestly about what happened. She explained why his words hurt her, and he listened. Then he shared his side. That conversation brought them closer. They realized that being able to speak openly, even about painful things, made their love stronger. It reminded them that every Couple will have misunderstandings, but what matters is how they handle them. To bring joy back into their days, they took a spontaneous trip to a nearby city. No plans, just a desire to make memories. They walked hand in hand, tried new food, visited shops, and laughed like never before. In a small park, they sat on a bench and talked about their dreams. It was a quiet, beautiful moment that reminded them how lucky they were to have found each other. They came back from the trip full of new energy. From then on, they made it a habit to create time for each other. Date nights, cooking together, dancing in the living room, even helping in local charities. These simple moments became the heart of their love story. They began to open up even more, sharing their fears and hopes. Trust grew, and they felt safe being their true selves with each other. Of course, life brought new challenges. Job stress, family troubles, and unexpected turns. But now they had a strong foundation. They chose to face everything together. When they argued, they didn't let anger stay. They sat down and talked. They listened. They made room for each other's feelings. They learned to compromise and work as a team. They supported each other's dreams. When he got a promotion, she planned a surprise dinner. When she sold her first painting at a gallery, he brought flowers and told everyone how proud he was. They never missed a chance to lift each other up. These little celebrations became big parts of their story. They showed that love is not just about being there when things go wrong, but also about celebrating when things go right. They learned that love isn't always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's about making tea for the other person when they're tired. Sometimes it's about holding hands during a hard moment, or saying, "I'm proud of you," after a small success. They found joy in the little things, watching the sunset together, laughing over silly jokes, being silent but feeling close. Every day, their love grew deeper. They knew that their story was not just about two people falling in love. It was about learning, growing, and becoming better together. They weren't perfect, but they were perfect for each other. They showed the world that love doesn't need to follow rules. It just needs two people willing to choose each other, again and again, no matter what. As time passed, they kept building a life full of meaning. They continued to support one another's passions. He helped her open a small art studio, and she helped him find time for rest and joy in his busy schedule. Together, they created a balance that worked for them. They built a home full of art, laughter, and warmth. Their love story is a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful relationships come from the most unexpected beginnings. Two people from different worlds can come together and create something truly special. All it takes is kindness, patience, understanding, and the willingness to grow together. Through every high and low, they chose love. They chose each other. And in doing so, they proved that even the most unlikely love stories can become the most beautiful ones. This story is not just about them. It is about hope, about believing in love even when it seems impossible, and about trusting that when two hearts connect, magic can happen. They never planned on meeting. Not in that coffee shop. Not on that quiet afternoon where time moved a little slower, and the world outside the window felt far away. But love doesn't follow maps or schedules. It arrives like a soft breeze, unexpected, gentle, and kind. She was sitting near the window, her fingers dipped in color, bringing to life a world only she could see. He was ordering his usual, black, coffee, no sugar, no cream. His mind wrapped in numbers, calls, and climbing ladders. But something pulled his eyes to her table, to her silence, to her peace. And in that moment, the world shifted. She looked up and their eyes met. His filled with questions, hers with dreams. He asked if he could sit. She smiled, unsure, but said yes. Two different lives on one table, coffee meeting color, logic meeting passion. He asked about her painting. She spoke in soft tones, of art, of feelings, of how color can speak louder than words. He listened, not out of politeness, but because he had never heard the world described like that. As days turned to weeks, they kept meeting, not because they had to, but because something felt right in those conversations. She showed him her world, the quiet corners where inspiration lives, the places where silence becomes music, and how brushstrokes hold secrets. He took her into his world, meetings, goals, the race of life, but also the moments where he wondered if something was missing. And in each other, they found the peace they didn't know they needed. He brought her flowers once, messy, wild, colorful. Not roses, but sunflowers and daisies, the kind that bloom without asking for attention. She laughed, the kind of laugh that stays with you.